Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship station, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In addition, today, as always, we're on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and City Cable 15 in Southfield. Those three television outlets on Comcast, Channel 15, and on AT&T Channel 99 in their community, government, and educational programming guides there on AT&T. Find us also on Channel 10 in Waterford on the Media Network of Waterford and live to tape at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. in Lake Orion and Orion Township on Orion Neighborhood Television, where we're both your first show in the afternoon and your late night television choice over there in Lake Orion and Orion Township, where living is a vacation. Join us on the radio as well in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on 88.1, the BIF, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District, operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, out of Bloomfield Hills High School. And big hello to their station manager, Uncle Ron Whittables, over there running the show each and every day. We're also on the web, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link there. It's at the top of the page on your computer and on some tablets. On other tablets, on your mobile phone and other mobile devices, it'll be in the left margin of the screen. There'll be a drop-down menu you'll need to select. Second from the bottom, Watch Live. Click there, civiccentertv.com/watch-live. Also the link to watch us live during the Megacast, live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday for the Oakland County and the Michigan Megacasts. And watch all of our other regular programming, including municipal meetings in West Bloomfield, Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake, each and every day live at that link. Also find us on the web on My Michigan TV, otherwise known as MyMy. Go to mymytv.com to learn more information about where you can watch the Megacast, where you can watch their other original programming, such as Steve Leto Live and Larry and Maddie Live as well in the afternoons. Find us on demand, find their other imported programming and news stories about everything going on all across the great state of Michigan there, mymytv.com, where you'll also learn more information about where you can download their free smart TV and smartphone apps. And if you want to find more information, or you don't want to remember all these different websites, all these different outlets, you can't remember them, there's too many of them because we're just growing and growing nonstop, go to our website, civiccentertv.com, click on our Megacast link. There we have individual links to every single one of our partnering television, radio, and web outlets, so you can stay up to date on everything that they're doing in the other 22 hours of the day outside of our regular broadcasts here, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. That Megacast link at civiccentertv.com, also where you're going to find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand. Right next door to that page on our website at civiccentertv.com, it's our coronavirus page at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. We're at the top of the page with ever-changing information. We keep you up to date by linking you directly to the COVID-19 specific web pages of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention at the federal level, the state of Michigan's Health and Human Services Department, and locally here in Oakland County, where we originate our broadcast from the Oakland County Health Division and many municipalities in the Oakland County area as well. So you can keep up to date on how COVID-19 is affecting you in your hometown, here in Oakland County, where we originate our broadcast, across the great state of Michigan and all around the U.S. and the world from different organizations, staying up to date on the front lines, keeping us safe, keeping us informed, even more importantly, about COVID-19. And we also have our top headlines each and every day from across the state of Michigan, making headlines from great journalistic outlets. Highly encourage you, when you click on those articles, read them in full, read their supporting materials. Highly encourage you to also read their other articles, and if you have the means to do so, subscribe and support local journalism from these great outlets. Our first story making headlines today, of course, yesterday being Monday, that is one of the 3 days a week when the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services releases their latest COVID-19 numbers, and this from the Bridge, Michigan coronavirus tracker. Cases have fallen to their lowest level in 5 months, and hospitalizations continue to plummet. The daily average of confirmed COVID-19 infections in Michigan fell below 3,000 on Monday for the first time since late September. The state reported 5,380 new infections on Friday, or an average of 1,793 per day for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That lowered the 7-day total average per day to 2,660. It was last below 3,000 on September 29th of last year, when it was at 2,941 cases. By every metric the state provides, the news is positive. Fewer people are seeking coronavirus tests, and far fewer are coming back positive. Case rates are down across the entire state, and hospitalizations saw the number of COVID-19 patients fall. There are now 2,236 patients with confirmed or suspected COVID-19, down from 207 on Friday, and just 370 in intensive care units across the state. That number was 435, however, on Friday, and during the height of the Omicron surge, it was well above 800 in early January. Overall, 11.5% of coronavirus tests in the past week have come back positive, down from 14.6% on Friday and 18.5% just 1 week ago. That's coupled with a plummet in testing demand over the past week. Just 204,000 tests were reported, down from 500,000 plus per week 4 weeks ago. The state also reported an additional 60 COVID-19 related deaths on Monday. There have been 360 so far just in the month of February, averaging about 26 per day. In January, the fourth deadliest month of the pandemic, there were 2,578 deaths, or an average of 83 per day. So positive numbers so far as we're going forward in this pandemic and getting, as it seems, out of this Omicron variant surge. That being said, you're going to get less numbers with less tests coming in, so that does play a role. But the percent positive going down so consistently and, frankly, so dramatically in a short period of time, also very good news in where we're trending. Hopefully we're able to keep that up and maybe be seeing the end of this pandemic. Not going to say that that's actually coming up anytime soon. We've been here before and circled right back to another surge shortly after. So fingers crossed that this time will be the last time. Also making headlines on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, from our friends at the Detroit News. As the Freedom Convoy blockade of the Ambassador Bridge is now in the rearview mirror. Reports are saying it cost nearly $300 million in lost wages and production. A week of protesting at the Ambassador Bridge has cost the auto industry more than $250 million, according to an analysis by an East Lansing-based economic research group. Stemming from opposition to vaccine border mandates by the Canadian government, the Freedom Convoy gained international attention when it moved to the Windsor Bridge from Ottawa, effectively interrupting traffic between the United States and Canada. The bridge reopened for travel late Sunday night, and a few demonstrators remained at the intersection Monday with a continued heavy police presence. In just 1 week, automakers including GM, Ford, Chrysler, Honda, and Toyota suffered an estimated $155 million in losses, Anderson Economic Group said in a study released on Monday, analyzing the impact of the blockades thus far. Within hours, assembly plants were troubled with shortages and slowdowns. Quote, "The border between Michigan and Canada that runs right along the city of Detroit is the site for probably the most important volume of trade between any two countries in the entire world," said Patrick Anderson of Anderson Economic Group. He is their principal and CEO. Continuing on, Anderson said, quote, "The auto industry for the last half-century has treated that border as a temporary obstacle, as an obstacle to be traversed quickly and to allow a tremendous set of assembly plant workers and suppliers in both the U.S. and Canada to work efficiently together." Workers spanning from Ontario to Alabama were hit by a protest right in their pockets. AEG estimates employees, the majority of whom are in Michigan and Ontario, lost $144.9 million in wages, with Michigan auto workers alone losing an estimated $51.26 million. Workers spanning from Ontario to Alabama were hit by the protest and of course, hit very hard by the protest. Anderson said, quote, "We are already assuming that 90+% of these parts get to their destination and get put into vehicles, but the opportunity to build these cars in many cases has been lost as a result of those protests. And with the auto industry already strained because of supply chain issues and shortages, the protest has further squelched consumers' ability to hop in and turn the key. There are competitors out there that are building vehicles in the southern U.S. right now, or building them in the United States, that haven't shut down production. And you've got consumers out there that are discouraged because they can't get cars," and closed quote. Even with the bridge reopening, the protest could have a continued impact on auto production, Anderson said, much to the fear of automakers and international leaders. Governor Gretchen Whitmer on Monday released a statement calling the reopening, quote, "a win for Michigan families," and closed quote. The governor continued on by saying, quote, "It's time to get traffic and trade moving across North America's busiest land border crossing again. I will always stand with every hardworking Michigander and do whatever it takes to ensure that our businesses can keep humming along," and closed quote. quote. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau used the Emergencies Act for the first time in his nation's history in response to the Freedom Convoy's protests. He announced on Monday the act allows the federal government in Canada to override provinces and authorize temporary security measures. However, Trudeau said the military will not be called to action and the act will not be used to supersede the charter. While protests have remained largely peaceful with demonstrators singing and dancing, some have criticized the leniency of law enforcement. Protesters were gradually pushed back from the site of the Ambassador Bridge and landed in a cleared intersection near the border. According to Windsor police, there have been 42 arrests and 37 seized vehicles since the protest began. The large majority of persons arrested have since been released with a future court date and are facing a charge of mischief, police said. Some are also facing a charge of disobeying a court order. Answers to questions about the penalties and arrests often focused on a need to reopen the bridge safely without threatening commerce or public safety. When the Ambassador Bridge reopened, streets intersecting with the road leading to the border here on Church Road, including in that, were blocked off by police cruisers to ensure traffic on the main road was limited to travelers. Quote, local manufacturers and exporters who rely on the Ambassador Bridge know the dramatic and significant impact that the illegal occupation had on operations last week, said Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkins in a news release on Monday afternoon. Dilkins continued on, the mayor saying, quote, to ensure that we can maintain a reliable border crossing for trade and commerce in the immediate near term, we need to ensure here on Church Road remains cleared. We commit to working closely with businesses along the route who are adversely impacted by the short-term and time-limited measures, unclosed quote. Police did not respond to the Free Press inquiries, however, regarding the timeline of when the main road is expected to reopen to the general public. Read that full article, including supporting materials from our friends at the Detroit Free Press, on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Lastly, also involving Canada, making headlines today from our friends at the Detroit News, Ontario has announced it will end its COVID-19 vaccine passport system on March 1st. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said on Monday he is ending effective March 1st the province's COVID-19 vaccine passport system that required people to offer proof of vaccination for a multitude of activities, from shopping to gyms to restaurants. Ford made his announcement a day and a half after the blockade of the Ambassador Bridge between Detroit and Windsor had ended, but insisted the decision was in the works, quote, long before, enclosed quote, the 7 days of protests spurred by COVID-19 restrictions and a trucker vaccine mandate that had threatened the economies of both the U.S. and Canada. Premier Ford said the end of the vaccine passport system, whose federal version was had inspired a weeks-long trucker convoy in Canada's capital city of Ottawa, is coming, quote, not because of what's happening in Ottawa or Windsor, but despite it, end closed quote. Along with the end of vaccine passports, capacity limits for personal gatherings and public events will also be removed. Ford said, quote, we're moving in the direction because it's safe to do so. Through the advice of Dr. Kieran Moore, the Chief Medical Officer of Health for Ontario, we accepted the passports. Through the advice of Dr. Moore, we are going to get rid of the passports. Added from Dr. Moore, they said, quote, all of the metrics are improving dramatically in terms of the number of people hospitalized, the number of people in intensive care units, and the percentage of tests that are positive, end closed quote. Citing a 92% vaccination rate in Ontario of people 12 and up, Dr. Moore said the mandate, quote, served its purpose, end closed quote, but that, quote, as of March 1st, it will no longer be necessary, end closed quote. The COVID-19 pandemic, quote, polarized us in a way we could never imagine, said Premier Ford, continuing on. But for all of this, I can still take comfort in knowing that there remains so much that unites us, end closed quote. Ford said repeatedly that, quote, Ontario is open for business, end closed quote, and cited conversations with Fortune 500 CEOs worried about whether Ontario is stable enough to do or expand their businesses. Quote, we will guarantee you a stable environment and to make sure we get goods from one side of the border to the other, Ford said. At the same time, Windsor officials said on Monday that public access to the area near the Ambassador Bridge will be limited for an indefinite but, quote, temporary, end closed quote, time to prevent any other international incident. The bridge reopened late Sunday for business. The Michigan Chamber and other businesses across the state are relieved to see commerce across the critical border crossing flowing again, helping reduce the strain on fragile and recovering supply chains and restoring the essential trade and travel of our employers, workforces, and communities communities rely on, said Michigan Chamber of Commerce CEO Jim Holcomb in a statement. That full article from our friends at the Detroit News, posted on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where we also have our other top headlines making news today all across the Great Lakes state, and those ever-helpful links to the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 specific web pages, so you can stay informed on what's happening both on the COVID-19 front and across the board, all around the state of Michigan. We have a great show coming up here in the Oakland County hour of the Megacast. Coming up next, we will have Nate Adams, film critic from theonlycritic.com. We've also read some of his critiques on Rotten Tomatoes as well. He'll join us, talk about everything happening in the movie industry right now. At the bottom of the hour at 10:40, we'll be joined by the owner of Swag Kids Gym in West Bloomfield, Ralph Tompkins. He'll talk about the gym. We'll talk about keeping kids active, inspiring activity during the pandemic in our young people, and he'll also preview an upcoming event he's doing in partnership with West Bloomfield Parks in celebration and recognition of Black History Month. In the Michigan Megacast hour, we'll be joined at 11 o'clock by Paulette Epstein, Planetarium Director and Astronomer at the Michigan Science Center. At 11:20, Michael Forsyth, the co-owner of Detroit City Distillery, will join us to talk about their Punchki vodka, as well as their Punchki Day celebration that will be coming up at the end of the month. And then at 11:40, we'll cap off the show with Kelli Dobner, the Chief Advancement Officer of Samaritas, a Share Detroit-supported charity and nonprofit. That's all coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
a rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. You can learn more information about the show by visiting our website, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Megacast link where you'll find information linking you to every one of our partnering television, radio, and web outlets that join us every day, live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, as well as live to tape. And find all of our interviews and full episodes on demand, civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Well, we're in the middle of winter. It's cold outside. There's not much to do. So where do you go? You go to the movies, and especially when we're in the thick of awards season now, you're going to want to be seeing some of those movies that are going to be bringing home the hardware very soon. The best person to talk about that, to make sure you see the good ones and leave the rest to everybody else, is Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com. You've also read his reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. He's with us once again on the Megacast. Nate, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Tyler, and a happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm so glad that they spread that around today. So, yes, thank you. One of many surprises so far as I walk into the studio today and further realize I'm old. Let's begin with the movies. The Oscars are coming up, and we have Academy Award nominations that recently came out last week, and a lot of new faces across the board in the nominations this year, but a lot of familiar faces as well. A record nomination for Denzel Washington, as he once again is nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role. We also see some other stars that are commonly up there, like Jessica Chastain, nominated again, and some surprises even that have been in the folklore of the movie industry of the last 10 years or so, but haven't quite got that recognition yet. People like Kristen Stewart, who's nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role. So let's start with just the movies in general. In terms of those movies that we're going to be seeing nominated in a lot of these categories that we've seen nominated and may win multiple Oscars, what are among those that you think people should be seeing?
Well, it's a very eclectic lineup this year because the Academy Awards, last year with the pandemic, the lineup was kind of slim in that there wasn't, a big populist film. Nomadland won last year, which was a very little seen film. I mean, probably most people saw it at home on where it was streaming on Hulu. This year it's an improvement, but at least there's you have a Dune, right? Dune's nominated for 10 Oscars, which is the only film, by the way, out of the 10 nominees, because this year the Academy said they're going to stick to a straight 10 from here on out. So hoping that a big budget blockbuster film might be able to break in. And this year that happened to be Dune, which had been long favored to get a ton of nominations. Some people had predicted maybe Spider-Man No Way Home, which is currently the highest grossing film of the last 10 years or so, one of them, was going to break into the field, and it didn't. But the Oscars are also trying to combat that this year. The Academy had just an initiative now they're going to have on Twitter where folks can go online, they can use a hashtag, and up to 20 times a day they can vote for their favorite film, and then on the telecast they're going to reveal that pick. So I guess that's where Spider-Man could get in. As far as what to see, a lot of these films, just like last year, are going to be available on streaming, so a lot of folks are going to be able to see it. The Japan International Film Entry Drive My Car made it into the Best Picture field, which is also riding on the coattails of Parasite a few years ago, so that's really nice to see. Folks will be able to stream that on HBO Max starting in March. Nightmare Alley, nominated for Best Picture, directed by Guillermo del Toro, is already on Hulu. Coda, which was my #1 film of 2021, a great film, which CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adults, is on Apple TV Plus, which is their first nomination and Best Picture. But a lot of people are talking about The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion's adaptation of the Thomas Savage novel. It's got the most noms, 12 nominations. It's streaming on Netflix, and this might be the first year. Every year, a streamer always gets close to taking that top prize, but every year preceding this one has always gone to a major studio that released films theatrically. This is Netflix's best chance at finally, after I don't know how many nominations, they might be able to crack the best picture field.
We're joined by Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com. He's a film critic. You can also read his reviews on Rotten Tomatoes as well. And so you mentioned Netflix kind of breaking that mold, and maybe this year is the year that they finally get through after they've been nominated for some of their pictures in the past, but have not won the physical award.
They've come so close.
Right,
they've always come so close.
Right, and so you're saying that this may be that year where they pull through. You also mentioned Spider-Man: No Way Home as one of the top-grossing films of 2021. It was highly acclaimed by those that are superhero movie aficionados and those that are just casuals going to see the movie because it was a big hit. Do you see as these superhero movies, especially these franchises and these cinematic universes that are becoming more common, as these films become more popular and become more mass appeal, do you see any of those in the future, especially with the quality we had in Spider-Man: No Way Home and in other films recently, that some of these may actually break through and be considered for some of these top prizes?
Yeah, it's definitely not impossible because we saw Black Panther break into the field in 2019, was nominated for Best Picture, which was a groundbreaking landmark achievement at the time. And I don't think that that could definitely happen again. The reason why the Academy expanded the category to 10, because before it was 5 to 10, and now it's guaranteed 10 every year for the hope that something like a populist film like Spider-Man could break in. You remember in 1998, everybody was tuning in to see if Titanic was going to win Best Picture because Titanic was a huge film. And the whole reason, Tyler, that the Academy expanded the field was because, I don't know if you remember, but it was a huge controversy that The Dark Knight didn't get a Best Picture nomination the year it was released, because obviously in this day and age, like, Dark Knight is heavily regarded now years later as one of the best, not only one of the best films of all time, but the best superhero film of all time. It is for me. And to see that a movie like that, and the scale and the way it was made and the artistry and the mastery behind the scenes, that it didn't get a Best Picture nomination was baffling. So the Academy noticed that, and that's why they expanded the field. So do I think that in the future more could break through the mold? Absolutely. It just is a matter of, what's the right film buzzing and popping at the right time. There is a Black Panther sequel that's coming out soon. Is that going to change the narrative? I really thought Spider-Man: No Way Home might have had a shot, but this year was kind of jam-packed. And Dune did make $100 million+ probably would have made more had it not been released via HBO Max and theaters at the same time, and there's a sequel on the way. So there is a populist film in the mix, but as far as like a big mass wide 4-quadrant film, that is missing from this lineup. But the lineup is very eclectic. You got Licorice Pizza. We talked about Don't Look Up. I would argue that Don't Look Up is as huge a hit as any of these films, even though it didn't release. Most people saw it at streaming on Netflix. I heard more people talk about Don't Look Up over the Christmas holiday than I heard about any film this year, because of the topics and the conversation and the debate about what the film means, and people are still talking about it coming up and chatting weeks later because of the buzz. So I know Power of the Dog is the favorite, but don't be surprised if Don't Look Up kind of somehow sneaks in there and wins, which would actually cause complete chaos, because I don't know if you've seen the reviews. The reviews are very, very mixed. It's one of the lowest rated Best Picture nominees of all time. I was a big fan of it. I was on the side of I loved it, and a lot of people that I talked to seem to enjoy it too. So Best Picture is really supposed to represent, they say it's like a moment in time, right? It's representative of that year. And so, Don't Look Up, with its message of climate change and, maybe pandemic and politics, is it the most timely? Maybe. But, there's an argument for every movie. I'm sure that could be good. Belfast, Kenneth Branagh's, black and white story about his childhood, long rumored to be the favorite. But then I don't know, fun fact to the day, the Best Editing Oscar, most people don't know this, is a huge bellwether and precursor to the Best Picture nominee. Only 10 films in the history of the Academy Awards has won Best Picture without an editing nomination, and Belfast missed that nomination. So that kind of puts Power of the Dog back at the top. Fun fact of the day. I'm kind of, if people need their facts, right?
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing to consider too, because these are ultimately, as much as we see the mass appeal of the movie industry, and we kind of see these as, okay, this is the awards for the best of the best in all these different categories. If you think about it, ultimately what it comes down to, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is tasked with deciding on which are the best from a filmmaking standard in each of these categories, and editing is a huge part, arguably one of the more critical parts of what makes a film great.
And people talk about, well, the Oscars, are they relevant anymore? Because, to me, some of my favorite movies didn't get nominated. None of them. Like The Green Knight was a great film, got 0 nominations. So, if you like what you like, don't use the Academy Awards as like this, end all be all that, it has to be the best in film. But I will say that it is still important and it is still vital. And it's really the only thing that we have, in the sense that half the people would not have seen Parasite, a Korean language film, had it not been nominated for Best Picture. Nobody's would have seen Drive My Car had they not nominated. Like, nobody would have checked out Power of the Dog, even though they might not like these movies, or they might not, they might think they're slow or boring or whatever. The fact that they're even checking them out is only because they're getting this type of buzz with nominations. So I do think that is important, in that it does introduce people to a new form of cinema that they might not have otherwise seen. It's like my parents might not have seen some of these movies had they not gotten the buzz of the Oscars. So they are important in that aspect, but also, you can still like what you like, even if they're not nominated for awards. It doesn't have to mean it's the end of the world.
You can read Nate's film critiques at theonlycritic.com. We're joined by Nate Adams, of course, from theonlycritic.com. You can also find his reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. And so it brings up another interesting point. We go back to the competition that's there in the movie industry right now, the expanded competition with streaming being a critical output for a lot of these movies during the pandemic, and it's kind of changed the paradigm for what's going to happen after the pandemic. From a studio's perspective, studios that have been more so focused on those theatrical releases and are looking to go back to a similar format that we had pre-pandemic, what adjustments are they going to need to be making going forward to continue to be competitive with these streaming services that are becoming more popular, that are growing that mass appeal, and that are providing the greater exposure to some of these movies because of their easy access at home?
So I think the number one thing that they're going to have to do is adapt. We saw this Moonfall opened a couple weeks ago, and it cost like a colossal amount of money. It cost about like $160 million to make, and then it tanked at the box office. I think studios are going to have to learn on the balance sheet that movies don't necessarily have to cost an arm and a leg in order to be theatrically, viable. Jackass Forever was a film that cost, I think, $20 million to make, and it's already in the red. Scream came out in early January, was made for $20 million, and it's made $80 million. It's like, I think they need to economize their budgets a little bit if they're going to try and go the theatrical model, unless it's these big budget superhero films. You can still make a small budget, drama or a horror film. Horrors are the most profitable film in the business. $5, $10, $15 million. I think what needs to happen is we don't need to spend $60, $70, $80 million like they just did on this Death on the Nile remake that came out over the past weekend. So that's going to be a key component as far as what films are going to be making it into the theatrical only landscape. And it's going to take like a Bridesmaid or a My Best Friend's Wedding, that type of romantic comedy to kind of rejuvenate that genre. And I don't know when that's going to come, because all those films are being relegated to streaming. But I think if the studios can figure out a way to, get the budgets down and try and, work in the mold, that might work. I watched a film called I Want You Back. It came out on Amazon Prime over the weekend. One of the best romantic comedies I've seen of the last 3 or 4 years, okay? And that premiered on streaming. I was thinking to myself as I was watching it, there was a time when this movie would have probably legged it out to $100 million at the box office on good word of mouth because it's so good. And now I'm watching it at home with my significant other on the couch, not sharing in that communal experience. So it just becomes a term of, what's going to make the most sense. And right now it's superhero films and big budget films and maybe kids films. Sing 2 made $130+ million, which is the best showing for a kids film. So, you got the Batman coming up in a few weeks. That's probably going to be there, but it's going to be tough to see what mid-sized film that's not a horror film, that's not based on an existing property, that's not a superhero film, that is going to break through. The highest grossing adult drama, pure adult drama from the last year since the pandemic began was House of Gucci, which made $50 million. And I would argue that was because it had the strength of Lady Gaga, which she was notably snubbed for Best Actress this year at the Oscars, much to the ear of her online Twitter fan base.
We're joined by Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com, joining us on the Megacast, talking all things Academy Awards. And so we have a couple more minutes with you, Nate. Let's go rapid fire down the line with some of these key categories and get your predictions. Best Actress in a Leading Role, we have, of course, Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman, Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart in Spencer. Who do you see in Best Actress?
So the odds have the favor of Nicole Kidman for being the Ricardos. But I will say another statistic here is that this is also going to be hard to predict. Best Actress is the one category that is completely up for grabs because no actress has a film that crosses over with Best Picture. So usually there's like a favorite where you can like link the two. It's like, oh, well, they like that movie more. But Kristen Stewart also missed the SAG nominations, which no actress in the history of the Academy Awards who did not get a SAG nomination went on to win Best Actress. Can Kristen Stewart, who has a lot of love for Spencer, break that for the first time and make history? Maybe. Right now I'm going with Kidman, but do not be surprised if Stewart sneaks up in there and gets the gold.
Best actor in a leading role, also one that people are going to be looking out for. What are your predictions there?
This is also a coin flip. It's going to be either Benedict Cumberbatch, who's got a lot of love for The Power of the Dog, or Will Smith for King Richard. I have the edge slightly for Will Smith because, it's kind of his due. It's his second Oscar nomination. Every actor in this category has been nominated before, by the way. So that's someone's going to get either their second or their first win. So I'm giving the edge to Will Smith, but it's close too.
All right, maybe I should finish this off by asking you who's going to win Best Editing, and that will take care of two categories. But I'll finish with Best Picture. What's your prediction?
I think it's going to be Power of the Dog, and then Jane Campion's going to ride that Best Director win, which would be history because it'd be the first time in Oscar history back-to-back directors were won by females, which would be great to see.
Nate, anything else to be looking out for in the movie industry coming forward for us?
The summer movie season's coming soon. Like I said, Batman's on the rise. We got some Marvel TV shows, Top Gun Maverick, Doctor Strange, the next Jurassic Park film. So movies are bouncing back, and it's going to be an exciting time for theatrical to watch that and see. And then also streaming. There's a lot of stuff coming at home that everybody should be getting. Netflix has a robust lineup of films coming that's going to be, you're going to have options every which way. So it's a good time to be a content consumer.
Nate, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Tyler, and I hope you have a great birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com. If you're going to go see a movie, you're not quite sure about it, or you want to get some commentary after the fact, theonlycritic.com. Read his reviews. You can also read them on RottenTomatoes.com. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, after you take your kids to the movies, get a big bowl of popcorn and some sodas and some pops or whatever, they're going to have a ton of energy. They need to find a way to burn that off without annoying you to death and driving you crazy. A great place to do that is at Swag Kids Gym in West Bloomfield, which will, of course, get them some physical activity, give them a little bit of a fun outlet, and teach them some helpful life lessons as well. We'll be joined by the owner of Swag Kids Gym, Ralph Tompkins, coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Joining us now is Ralph Tompkins. He is the owner of Swag Kids Gym located in West Bloomfield with us again on the show. Ralph, thank you for being with us again.
Hey, Tyler, Happy New Year, buddy. Been a little bit. Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good with us. How are you doing? How's your team over there at Swag Kids Gym?
Yeah, team's doing good, man. Team's doing good. Appreciate you asking.
Good to hear. So, of course, this is a gym specifically targeted as being for activities for children. What inspired you to open a gym specifically for kids?
You know, it wasn't even originally in the cards, but I had spent 5 years at a little gym in West Bloomfield and really loved it and wanted to just expand on some of the things and offerings that they had, and took the risk and wanted to go on my own. And it's been about 2.5 years that Swag's been open, made it through the pandemic, and really very fortunate to have the opportunity to offer so much to so many kids and families throughout the state of Michigan, and of course in the city of West Bloomfield.
And it's really interesting, too, because not only is this a place that is intended on inspiring activity for kids, it's really built on building those early principles for activity and for really the benefits both physical, mental, social, and emotional that come from physical exercise, physical activity at a young age. Your gym was founded on, as you have listed, 3 different principles. Can you talk to us about those principles and why those became the core of everything that you do over there at Swag Kids Gym?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the times now people see or have heard about what we do via video, social media, things like that. And it looks extremely fun, which it is, but there's a lot of developmental principles that go alongside of, the fun. So a lot of times we like to really encourage people to let their kids grow and develop at their own pace, which is the fundamental basis of the program, is being in an atmosphere which is comfortable. And not all the time, especially with the pandemic, kids are able to walk in and be a part of scenarios where they're instantly comfortable. So it takes commitment not only from, the kids of wanting to come every week, but from the parents wanting to stick with it. Just knowing that every situation isn't going to be ideal, but it's about allowing the kids to have an opportunity to really kind of figure out their own self within their own space of the gym and being able to have an opportunity to grow and develop at their own pace. So I think it's really important that parents give their opportunity to their kids to be able to grow and not have such high expectations on performance. It does take time. So this is why Swag Kids Gym was founded, and we really believe the things that we do inside of our gym really helps kids get a little bit more comfortable quicker than most different activities that may be accessible for kids.
And it can be difficult for parents too to find those activities for kids that engage them, that are productive for them in their early development especially, but also just in general. Speaking for parents, I don't know for sure. I'm not a parent. I've only, the closest thing I've ever been to that kind of a role was as a camp counselor, but it's very tough to get kids to calm themselves down and to engage in certain activities, especially those that they may not want to engage in. So for you at Swag Kids Gym, how do you incorporate that knowledge into your programs, into your activities to make them engaging for kids, even if they're a little bit reluctant at first to engage in some of those activities?
Yeah, so the key for us is we start super early with our programming. So we start as young as 10 months old and we go all the way up to 12. So with the ages 4 and under, we allow for them to freely explore around the gym however they like. Their parents are also inside the gym, so they get the social and emotional interaction, of course, with their parents, and of course, having a parent or a loved one near them makes everybody more confident, especially the young ones. But they also get the opportunity to be around other kids, so they get used to that socialization and structure aspect. So we don't force them to do things that aren't comfortable for them, but we do allow them to step inside the gym. And I mean, if you're in whatever they see that they may want to be interested in, they have the opportunity to freely explore, which allows for anxiety to decrease because they're in a situation where they have a secure person, a parent, a guardian, a caretaker, things of that nature. But they also see other kids who may be a little bit more comfortable than themselves, step in an atmosphere and just be willing to just run around and be free in an atmosphere that's super energetic, upbeat. And then all of our coaches, of course, are very engaging. But, we do understand a kid does need time to kind of warm up and grow up in the atmosphere. So we insert ourselves into their lives accordingly.
We're joined by Ralph Tompkins, owner of Swag Kids Gym in West Bloomfield, joining us on the Megacast. You can learn more information by visiting their website at swagkidsgym.com or visiting their location located at 7306 Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield. And so on that note too, Ralph, it can be tough to keep kids engaged. Getting them engaged is one challenge, but keeping them engaged in what they're doing, especially in physical activity or in playtime, and productive playtime, can be really tough too. And that goes back to your second principle of entertainment for enjoyment. How important is variety in general in fitness, but especially for kids in fitness and physical activity, to keep them interested, to keep them coming back, and to ultimately develop that into something that is part of their activities that they enjoy as they grow up?
Yeah, so for us as staff at the gym, it's actually the funnest part for us is being able to create different opportunities for kids to be able to gain confidence, gain skill, gain traction in the physical, the social, and emotional development. So it's really awesome. SWAG is essentially we can create any kind of workout, obstacle course, gymnastic, exercise opportunity at any point, any time, which makes it super versatile. So anytime they step in the gym, it looks a little different. And then, of course, our job as coaches and staff at the gym is to be able to properly assess kids' physical ability to be able to make it challenging for them, so they want to keep coming back. So variety is extremely important, especially for kids who, as you know, they have short attention spans. But it is an opportunity for them every time they step in the gym. They can expect something a little bit different, and it makes it fun for us, like I said, as instructors and staff, to create a new experience for them. It keeps it fresh for them, and it certainly keeps it fresh for us. So we're able to create whatever we want at any time we want, and it's based off the needs and the abilities of our kids that come at the gym.
We're joined by Ralph Tompkins, owner of Swag Kids Gym, located on Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield, joining us on the Megacast. More information on their website, swagkidsgym.com. And so your third principle, of course, inspire future generations, as it's listed here. And so as you're approaching these activities, as you're designing these activities, as you're working with the kids in groups and in individual settings, and inspiring fitness in them, how important is it to make that to make these activities something that they're interested in long term, so it becomes not only part of what they're interested in, what they keep coming back to later on, but also helps them bring along their peers as well, which can be a much easier way to approach that than having adults preach to kids the importance of physical activity.
Yeah, so essentially the great thing about the gym is that believe it or not, there is an opportunity for these kids to have physical literacy, which basically gives them the opportunity to learn how to maneuver and coordinate and balance their body through exercise. So it is a great starter for that. Physical literacy is something that's super important. And of course, the more kids understand how to use their body, how it operates, how to learn how to take safe risks, how to navigate that and listen to instruction, it naturally does grow their skill and coordination, but most importantly, it builds their confidence. So when they step into other activities that are outside of swag, maybe sports or dance or anything else of that nature, they have a leg up because they are building their foundational movement, and they're also building their brain to know how to do and what to do with their body at appropriate times for physical activity and coordination. So that's super key, and that inspires them because they have the confidence in the literacy to know how they're supposed to do it, what they're supposed to do, and they're able to take instruction really great, which definitely helps them, and it helps other peers around them to be able to see that they have learned from a program like SWAG to be able to incorporate that into helping others as well, which is super key in them being a great kid and a good person. It's equally as important to be a great person and a productive person in our society as it is to be physically literate. So we combine both of those within all the elements that we have at SWAG.
We're joined by Ralph Tompkins, owner of Swag Kids Gym, located on Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield. You can learn more information on their website at swagkidsgym.com. That is swagkidsgym.com. And part of what is important in building a fitness regimen for everyone, but also inspiring fitness as a regular activity, is keeping that positive attitude, because in a lot of these situations, the games you're playing, the sports you're learning, the workouts you're doing, they can be really difficult, or you can hit a snag, or you can hit a low point, some sort of difficulty, and lose that inspiration, lose that positive attitude. So for you, personally, how do you keep yourself positive, and then how do you inspire the children in particular that are taking part in these activities to keep them positive too when they hit those snags, when they hit those roadblocks that they need to work through?
Tyler, honestly, man, for me, it's super easy to be motivated. COVID has definitely had a negative effect on a lot of people in so many ways. We were very fortunate enough to come out of it and be doing very well. Our business is doing very good. So I have a great team around me, from my management staff to all my coaches, to partnerships that we have outside of Swag that believe in what we do and they believe in me. So I would never want to disappoint them and let them down. So it's super easy for me to wake up super motivated personally because I got a great support system around me, great family, great friends, great teammates that I consider family, and then great business partners as well. And then obviously I'm super thankful for the people who believe in us as far as clients and families that put their trust in us when we were at our very lowest point and COVID was at its peak in regards to stuff that we didn't know about. They were willing to invest their time and their energy into us making their kids better. So those motivating factors alone, between who I have supporting me as a staff and business partnerships, as well as the people who believe and invest in our program in regards to joining, makes it super easy for me to be motivated. So that allows us as coaches and staff members to essentially give it our all to those kids. And yes, there are going to be like bumps in the road, and we really do, for older age groups, we really do challenge them to push to be at their best. So but we do it in a way like, hey, we're with you, you can do it, very positive reinforcement. So the same energy that they give us when they come to the door and want to do it, we give it back to them in regards to teaching, what we know, and teaching, tough times, those are the ones that you're going to have to make it through, and it makes you better and it makes you stronger. So it builds character. So we're extremely fortunate as a company, as a staff, and, as people who really care about kids being able to get 1% better each day at whatever they do. Like, we take it really serious because there's people who believe in us. So that gives us the motivation to give it right back to them in regards to making them better.
We're joined by Ralph Tompkins, owner of Swag Kids Gym, on the Megacast. More information on the website, swagkidsgym.com. And, of course, in addition to being a great physical education teacher for these kids at your gym and being a great trainer, you also have another skill as a DJ. And we'll be seeing those DJ skills on display on Saturday, February 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Orchard Mall here in West Bloomfield on Orchard Lake and on Maple, just off the corner of Maple Road, for the West Bloomfield Parks Black History Month Black Expo, in a special role as their DJ. Talk to us about what we can expect at that event and where you develop these DJ skills.
I'm super excited. It's the first one. It's in our backyard in West Bloomfield, and couldn't be more fortunate and excited to be able to step outside the box of the normal realm and expand into the DJ stuff. But I've been doing it for about 3-4 years now, just at various events, but I get a lot of practice because the music that we play at the gym is very upbeat. So I've been able to develop some skills there. I did some work with Star Trek's Entertainment for a couple of years. They're the best in the business in regards to any kind of special events, bar mitzvahs, weddings, stuff like that. So they gave me a great foundation, and now I had a very good opportunity to expand out and be on my own and kind of offer that service for Swag Kids Gym. So we definitely DJ special events, weddings, doing some mitzvahs, doing some expos. We did the View Fest Festival. So yeah, it's just always been something that's been a special interest for me. And if I didn't have, my staff members like Coach Katie, Coach Malia, I wouldn't be able to step out into that realm. So, as much excitement as I have about it, I got a good team around me that allows us to expand and do several other things. But the expo, we're super excited for. We're going to have some great businesses there that are Black owned, and they get an opportunity to network and grow their own business, which is super exciting for me to be able to kind of lead and forecast that for several key businesses. They have great people running it. So I'm just a small piece of the puzzle to it, but get to add the entertainment and some excitement to it as well. So super thankful for that. hopefully it's going to be the first of many, which I know it will. And I know the businesses that are going to be there, they're going to have great information, great booths, great insight, and definitely want to make sure that the word gets out to support those businesses, because they work as equally as hard as anybody else to make sure their business runs. So it's nice to be able to meet those business owners and to be able to have them represented at the expo. So really excited about that.
Ralph, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
All right, man. Be well. Hopefully, good to get you guys at the come out to the gym soon and check it out. You guys will be blown away.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
as partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sophia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes. They stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe here in our studios. You can find more information about us by visiting our website, civiccentertv.com, and clicking on our Megacast link, where we'll have links to information on all of our partnering television, radio, and web outlets that join us every day, including our radio homes for the show 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Joining us now from the Michigan Science Center is Paulette Epstein, their Planetarium director and astronomer, joining us on the Megacast to talk about all things volcanoes. Paulette, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you're in, of course, a virtual set for those at home. That's not an actual volcano behind you, but you'll be able to see plenty of real volcanoes and that footage of it in action, and learn more about volcanoes at the Michigan Science Center very soon. They're showing The Fires of Creation, an IMAX movie that'll start airing later on this week, this Saturday, February 19th. Tell us a little bit about that film and some of the other interesting activities that are there at the Michigan Science Center about volcanoes.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, we're going to be starting to play Volcanoes, Fires of Creation very soon here at the Michigan Science Center. So it'll begin on Saturday in our 4D theater, our Toyota Engineering 4D theater. And the film is all about volcanoes and gives us a really close-up look of some of the most amazing and deadly things on the planet. So the really cool thing about it being in our 4D theater is you actually feel like you are up close and personal with those volcanoes. So our 4D theater is the one that pokes you in the back, sprays you in the face. We have non-pyrotechnic sparks in that theater. And so when you are watching the movie, you really feel like you are a part of it, and the whole room is rumbling during some of those volcanoes, and it is a truly amazing film. Very beautiful and stunning, and really feeling like you're part of the action.
Yeah, so let's take a step back. Everyone seems to know what a volcano is, or at least the basic functions of an active volcano, at least. But for those that aren't sure, how do volcanoes form, and what function do they serve geologically?
Yeah, absolutely. So volcanoes usually form on the faults between plates in our sort of geologic world. So you have the Earth, and the Earth is made up of these different plates, and those plates are sort of moving around. So you may know that the Earth didn't always look like it does right now. A long time ago, it actually had a single continent, and we call that Pangea, the supercontinent. And these plates have sort of been moving around and adjusting because they're basically just floating on a layer of sort of magma. So they move around and adjust, and sometimes they'll adjust in such a way that it allows some of that magma to come up to the surface as lava. So that's actually where a volcano is forming. The volcanoes that we see most often are usually in the Ring of Fire, which is all around the Pacific Ocean. We have active volcanoes in Hawaii, here in the United States. There is a dormant supervolcano in Yellowstone. So that one, there is some volcanic activity, but it's not actually lava coming up to the surface. And we have volcanoes all through that Pacific Ocean as well. There was one that went off just a couple of weeks ago and took out travel in the Pacific Ocean. So volcanoes are happening all around us, and it's really just because those plates are sort of moving around, and there's gaps that can be created so that magma can come up and come out the surface as lava. Really cool, really dangerous.
We're joined by Paulette Epstein, who is an astronomer and planetarium director over at the Michigan Science Center, joining us on the Megacast. They're showing the showing of the film The Fires of Creation, which is an IMAX movie at the Michigan Science Center, begins airing Saturday, February 19th over there at the Michigan Science Center. You can learn more information on the Michigan Science Center's website at mi-sci.org. That is Michigan Science Center's website, mi-sci.org. And so, Paulette, talking about volcanoes, you mentioned that one just recently went off in the Pacific off the islands of Fiji and Tonga. But we have a lot of volcanoes all around the world. You mentioned even the supervolcano that's located right here in the U.S. At Yellowstone National Park. So what causes a volcano to go dormant? You kind of mentioned what causes it to go active. What causes it to go dormant, and why for so long do we often see these volcanoes have next to no activity?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, the volcanoes in Hawaii, the hole is actually moving around, and that's how the islands of Hawaii were actually created, because it was here for a long time, and then the tectonic plate moved a little bit, and the next island was formed by this magma coming up, and then the next island. It's because of the movement of these tectonic plates. Sometimes there's no movement at all, or these holes sort of fill themselves in. So we don't have a lot of volcanic activity. For example, here in the Midwest, there actually was a lot of volcanic activity a long time ago, but now we don't have any volcanic activity because that rift has actually sort of filled itself in and become dormant. So even though we were able to we had volcanic activity about 2 billion years ago or so, we don't have any volcanic activity here in the Midwest now.
And so, Paula, you mentioned some of those volcanoes in the Midwest. There actually were some right here in the state of Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. Where were some of those located? And you mentioned now because those rifts in the earth were then filled in, they're dormant. Are those volcanoes still in existence and able to be seen despite being dormant?
Yeah, absolutely. So the volcanoes in the Upper Peninsula actually helped to form Lake Superior and the area around there. Because of the volcanoes that we have in the Upper Peninsula here in Michigan, we actually have a lot of copper and a lot of heavier metals. Those were actually formed by that volcanic activity. And you can see a lot of those volcanic rocks, specifically when you take a look at sort of the edge of and the cliffs down into Lake Superior. You're able to see some volcanic rock. Some of it is normal rock that we would normally expect in that area, but some of it is also volcanic rock. And it's very interesting to sort of take a look at that area because we didn't know it was volcanically active until relatively recently.
We're joined by Paulette Epstein, the astronomer and planetarium director over at the Michigan Science Center. More information on their website, mi-sci.org or mi-sci.org to learn more about all the activities over there at the Michigan Science Center. And so the last major volcano that erupted here in the U.S. was Mount St. Helens, but there are plenty of other volcanoes that are located in the U.S., including that supervolcano you mentioned at Yellowstone National Park. That timeline on when these volcanoes go into a period of activity versus a period of dormancy, it varies location to location. It all really depends on the movement of the tectonic plates in the Earth. Are there any volcanoes in the U.S. off the top of your head that at this time may be close to that point in the estimation where they may be active again soon?
Well, so it's funny that you say that because the supervolcano at Yellowstone is actually at that point. We think that it could potentially start to be more active relatively soon. And when I say relatively soon, we are talking about in the history of the Earth, so it could happen in the next million years or so. But that is relatively soon in our timeline. It could be tomorrow, it could be in a million years, we don't know. But Yellowstone has actually become a little more volcanically, like we can tell that there's a little bit more activity happening in Yellowstone and that it's sort of coming out of that dormancy. And so we've definitely been keeping an eye on that one because it is a huge, huge volcano. And if it erupts, it will not only affect us here in the United States, it won't just affect people in the Western United States, it'll affect us here in Michigan, and it will also affect the entire world because that volcano is so big.
And so, Paulette, how do you go about predicting when volcanoes may be active again or when that activity may come to a point of eruption? How do experts that are tracking this information ultimately predict when, or forecast even, when these eruptions could happen or that activity could come back?
Yeah, absolutely. So they track it in a couple of different ways. They track it by feeling the seismic activity around the area. So the more seismic activity, the more active the volcano is going to become. They also can track it using just signs and things. So for example, I said that the supervolcano in Yellowstone is becoming slightly more active. And so what we're seeing is we're actually seeing more geysers, we're seeing more heat, we're seeing things that that point us to the direction that it could potentially become more active in the near future. So that seismic activity or the vibrations of the earth are really what pushes us to be able to get a better idea of when these volcanoes are going to become more active, but also just watching them and noticing even slight changes that are happening. Another thing that actually happens is animals can sense it before humans do. So a lot of times, like, animals will clear the area around a volcano before it erupts so that they are safer. And so following animals and how they move, their migration patterns, all of that can also give us clues as to when volcanoes are becoming more active and when they could potentially erupt.
We're joined by Paulette Epstein, Planetarium Director and Astronomer over at the Michigan Science Center. Their showing of Fires of Creation opens February 19th in its Toyota Engineering four-dimensional theater. The Michigan Science Center will have more information on that online on the website mi-sci.org. That's mi-sci.org to learn more information. Paulette, how long will this film be showing over at the Michigan Science Center?
We do plan to show this film through the end of this year. So it'll start, like I said, this weekend. Saturday and Sunday is our opening weekend for this movie. And we do plan to show it through the end of the year in our Toyota Engineering 4D theater.
Learn more information about Fires of Creation, when you can see this film, this IMAX film, in their four-dimensional theater of the Michigan Science Center by visiting mi-sci.org. Paulette, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Again, the Michigan Science Center's website, you can always find more information, mi-sci.org. That is mi-sci.org. We're going to take a quick break on the other side. Had to switch things up just a little bit with a guest change here. We'll have Leah Hefner, the co-owner of Awesome Mitten, joining us next on the Megacast. You can find more activities, including those over at the Michigan Science Center and other fun activities all across the Great Lakes State this winter and going forward. She has a great website that she co-owns with her husband. You can learn more information about all these different great activities, indoors, outdoors, all across the board and across the seasons right here in the state of Michigan. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Michigan Megacast.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help. When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Joining us now is Leah Hefner, the co-owner of Awesome Mitten, joining us on the Megacast. Leah, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you with us. So, of course, we have a really interesting state here in the state of Michigan. There's a lot to do, and every single season we experience all 4 seasons in some way or another, some in the same day.
Sometimes we get all 4 in one day. It's pretty magical.
Yeah, exactly. And so, with that being the case, there's a lot of different activities in every single season, all across the state of Michigan in the lower and the upper peninsula for people to do. So you are, of course, the co-owner of Awesome Mitten. Can you tell us about awesomemitten.com and what the inspiration was behind creating that website?
Yeah, so awesomemitten.com is an extension of our desire to love where we live and to help other people fall more in love with Michigan too. So everything we do is centered around helping people fall more in love with Michigan. And we do this primarily through creating awesome content about the state of Michigan. We have great profiles on cities, experiences, things to do, restaurants, where to go. And then we have in-depth personal profiles where you'll find like a writer like myself or someone of the writers on the team went and actually did this experience over a couple of days, and we'll tell you exactly what that felt like. And our goal all along the way is just to help people fall more in love with Michigan, whether that's walking in downtown in the middle of a snowstorm, or whether that's your summer camping trip, or whether that's where to find fall foliage, or where to do hikes in the spring. We just want to, that's our goal all the time. So we came up with these seasonal bucket lists to help with that as well. So we had a summer bucket list. I think Michigan's easy to think of all the cool things about summer. Like, I almost think that you could not stop listing things about the summer. And we said, well, let's do that for all the other seasons too, because like you said, we have all 4 seasons. They're great. They're wonderful. We have tons of activities. And we said, okay, it's time to do all 4 seasons of the bucket list. So here's the winter bucket list. And just a way to encourage people to get out and try something new this winter. Not everybody's an outdoor person. That's okay. There's lots of indoor activities too. But just to try something new this winter that maybe you haven't tried in Michigan yet.
You can learn more information at awesomemitten.com if you click on the link at hashtag MIAwesomeList or MyAwesomeList. You can find their bucket list for the winter season that has 25 different activities on there. And so, Leah, have you done any of these activities yourself? And of the ones that you may have done, what have been some of your favorites on this list?
So my husband and I, we did the downtowns in the Flint area. So we did Flint and Fenton downtowns. We did that in the middle of a snowstorm. We actually really liked it. We chose to stay downtown and walk around in the snow, and it was gorgeous and magical. We did the Flint Institute of the Arts. Some of the indoor activities, some of the bookstores and things like that. I happen to be pregnant right now, so I don't get to go downhill skiing or ice climbing or anything like that. So I really wish I could, but this winter is not the winter that I get to do that. So yeah, getting together with friends, finding creative ways to do that, whether that's in an igloo, at a restaurant, or just having a bonfire in the backyard. There's so many cool things that you can do, whether you're an adventure seeker or you're a little more on the mellow side, whichever way.
Yeah, so you mentioned one of the things on the bucket list that you mentioned was ice climbing in Fenton. Yeah. What is ice climbing? What are you doing? Where are you doing that when you go to this participate in this activity in Fenton? Because we don't have mountains. We don't have a whole lot. We don't exactly have inland glaciers anywhere.
No, we don't. No, that'd be cool though.
It would be.
It'd be cool. So there's a structure underneath it that they keep icing over as the temperatures go down, and then you're able, and it's got different levels and heights, and the way that the ice is kind of designed to be on there to have different, so you can be a total beginner on it and totally try it out for the first time, and you can also be somebody who competitively ice climbs and use it as a practice field. So it's a pretty dynamic ice climbing thing that we have right here in the Lower Peninsula. I think you think of extreme ice sports and you automatically think Upper Peninsula, and we have some really cool things in the Lower Peninsula as well.
Another interesting thing on here, and we're approaching the Winter Olympics beginning in Beijing this week, and there's opportunities to the Kalamazoo Curling Club to try out in the Olympic sport of curling. What kind of opportunities for curling or for other Olympic sports may be available at the Kalamazoo Club?
Yeah, so we were really focused on that Olympic event. Like, we know that there's so many cool places that Olympians train here in Michigan. And so between skiing, both downhill, and there's Nordic and cross-country skiing, there's luge tracks in Michigan that Olympians train at. There's curling, there's different kinds of skating, and hockey, of course, is such a big deal. My son's playing his first season of hockey, so I'm getting to learn all about that firsthand. So yeah, there's so many Olympic sports. So I know, like, I don't know if you guys prep for Olympic watching. We do. So we watch like Cool Runnings, we watch Miracle, we watch those other great Olympic movies. And then my kids are like, let's go do one. And I'm like, cool, that's awesome. Look at all these cool things that we can do right here where we live. So it's really awesome to get to do those things. Yeah.
We're joined by Leah Hefner, co-owner of awesomemitten.com. Of course, go to their website to learn more information, to view their seasonal guides for all 4 seasons here in Michigan, as well as for different regions of the state, and view their winter bucket list at hashtag MyAwesomeList. You can visit the website, go directly to that list, awesomemitten.com/MyAwesomeList. That's MIAwesomeList. And so another thing on this list is the Even Caves. Where is Even Junction? And then talk to us about the ice caves and some of the activities that are available for Michiganders to experience at the Even Ice Caves.
Yeah, so those are right outside of Marquette, and you're able to get there. Actually, we just had a writer go, and he did a great job. I'll have the article published by the end of the week. He did a great job of explaining like how to get there, because if you're not familiar with the area, it's an easy place to not be able to find, and explain how to get back, like it's the right parking lot, where on the weekends you can even rent ice cleats, because I know for me, I would end up on my butt in a second if I was walking down an icy path, and I don't want that to happen to you. So renting the ice cleats, walking in, and just what that whole experience feels like. He did a great job. So we'll have, like I said, we'll have that out by the end of the week. We have some other older articles with somebody who just went and did it, and that's we think of like ice caves and we think of like major waterfalls freezing over, and this is kind of the opposite of that. It's just like that cave formation with like stalagmites and stalactites forming, where just those slow drips of water over time create those massive icicle kind of effects. And then being able to go inside and look at that and check it out.
We're joined by...
So,
oh, please continue.
Oh, no. So, no, it's just a really unique opportunity to see winter up close in a different way. I think we think snowmen and sledding and those typical things, but this is a totally different kind of hike and a different kind of experience. Yeah.
We're joined by Leah Hefner, the co-owner of Awesome Mitten, joining us on the Megacast. Again, their website, awesomemitten.com, to read some articles about different activities throughout the year that you can experience here in Michigan. Gift idea guides, other guides for activities in all 4 seasons and all different regions of the state, and of course their seasonal bucket lists, including their winter bucket list, by visiting the website, awesomemitten.com. And so, Leah, despite all the great outdoor activities and the winter and cold activities that are available on this bucket list, there's also some great indoor activities for those that would like to limit their time out in the cold, or would prefer to experience some fun activities throughout the state but do so indoors. What are some of your particular favorites or your suggested experiences on this bucket list for people to experience indoors in Michigan this winter?
Yeah, so I totally get it. We don't all want to be outside all the time once it hits like 20 degrees. I know this week we're all expecting a large amount of snow, and we're like, okay, that's fun for, a day or two, but then what are we going to do once the kids get a little crazy, or I get a little stir crazy? So we're looking at things like we typically do our favorite breweries and wineries in the summer, but go check them out in the winter. Sometimes they have like a different flavor blend for the winter, especially the breweries. And a lot of places have put out like outdoor seating areas that look like igloos, or outdoor areas that like are really cozy, and you're getting to be in just your group of friends and just getting to experience that brewery in a different season. The same with being in a downtown. Like I said, my husband and I did that trip we did Flint and Benton, and we just hung out in bookstores and in coffee shops, and it was so cool to just get to see the downtown lit up in a different way. Checking out local museums. We always say that we will, and that we want to check out the museums in our hometown, and how many of us take the time to do it. So seeing one of those cool museums that's in our area, we have tons, and not just like standard art museums. We have so many really cool experiential museums across the state to go and check out. And then one really cool one that we found was in downtown Detroit. There's still an original banya, so you can go and get a schwitz, which for anybody who is not familiar with saunaing, it's a very sauna friendly experience. And so if you really want to be the opposite of cold, you can go and jump in a sauna and sweat for a while, and it's a really cool. Lots of people in the UP who are familiar with this because of the Finnish roots and stuff like that, but a really cool experience to go and just steam and be the opposite of cold for a while.
And there are also a lot of great winter markets as well. People love the farmers markets in the spring and the summer and the fall here in Michigan. But the winter markets, there also are several of them all throughout the state. Can you tell us about where some of these locations are, and some of the more interesting winter markets that people may be interested in joining, whatever region they may be in here in Michigan?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had the pleasure. There's just so many, like you said, there's so many great markets that are happening. I think we forget about them in the winter. I would check your local farmers market and see if it's open in the winter. The hours may have changed. Maybe in our town, the location changes for the winter. They move it inside, which I think is kind of them, especially to the farmers who sit out there, all day. But there's other really cool markets around. Sometimes do specific winter markets. We have articles on that on my awesome list. I'm actually going through it right now to make sure that I hit the right ones. There's just really, there's so many, and often with the winter festivals too. So like Grand Rapids has a big winter festival, Frankenmuth has a big winter festival. Several of the cities have big winter festivals. Those winter markets tend to pop up with those festivals as well. So then you can get a 2-for-1. You can experience a cool winter festival as well as a market experience as well.
We're joined by Leah Hefner, co-owner of Awesome Mitten, joining us on the Megacast. You can learn more information, view their website, find their winter bucket list by visiting their website at awesomemitten.com. That is awesomemitten.com. And yeah, there's so many great activities on your winter bucket list, a total of 25 on that list. And of course, there's plenty of more activities beyond those 25 that you can experience this winter.
Sure, and it's not meant to be like you have to get all 25 to like win here or something. Like we want you to try something new this winter. So we gave 25 ideas. Most of them are more like 5 ideas in each one, and then go and try something new. It'll be fun.
And so for those that want to go expand beyond the bucket list this winter, want to explore some other activities in Michigan or other things that they can do and experience throughout our great state this winter and in other seasons, what are some other resources that are provided to them on your website at awesomemitten.com?
Oh my gosh, good question. So we are really into creating content that helps people fall more in love with Michigan. So we have in-depth guides on cities and regions where you can find things to do, where to eat, where to stay, anything that you can think of while you're planning, whether it's a day trip or a week-long vacation there. And then too, we have writers that are going out and actually experiencing those things. So you can get a feel for what it's like. I know it's really helpful to me when I'm planning, like, oh, it's really great that you had all these ideas, but what's it really going to be? What is my family really going to be able to handle in the 5 days that we're in this particular area? So watching somebody else do that, having an in-depth experience of what they liked, what they didn't like, what they did and didn't choose to do while they were there, I find to be really helpful. And so we have that for all sorts of places in Michigan. I literally couldn't list them all. And then we have those really cool experiences where you get to follow along with somebody else. And we're doing that for the bucket list as well. So just being able to look and see, oh, I could get that done in a day. And oh, while I'm in that area, I want to try these 6 restaurants. So maybe we'll stay a couple extra days because I found this great place to stay too. And so just expanding what we think of as in the area to do. I think we think of specific spots in Michigan and we think, oh, this is what you do there. We go to Mackinac Island and we do these 5 things, and we go to Sault Ste. Marie and we do these 4 things, and we go to Traverse City and this is what our list looks like. And just seeing a different list, a bigger list, so that we can try some different things while we're in that area.
Leah, thank you very much for joining us, telling us more about the great resources available on your website. Anything else for us today that people should know about Awesome Mitten or be looking out for on your website soon?
We'll be doing this bucket list again in the spring, summer, and fall. So we are just so sure that Michigan has more hidden gems to mine out that we are doing this in every season. So we'll be doing this again in the spring, summer, and fall, and we'll have even more great stuff to check out as we go. So you can watch for that on Awesome Mitten. It's called My Awesome List in every season, so you'll be able to find it, no problem. Thanks for having me very much.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
A rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation. Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is a source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the Michigan Megacast by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on Megacast. We'll learn more information about everywhere we broadcast live to tape, and find us on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Joining us now is Kelli Dobner. She is the Chief Advancement Officer at Samaritas, a Share Detroit-supported charity and nonprofit, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Thank you for being with us today. Pierce, you might be muted. Let's take a look there, Kelli, and see. It looks like you are muted. So again, we're joined by...
How's that?
There, now we can hear you, Kelli. Thank you for being with us today.
My apologies. I am so grateful to be here, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate having you on. So you're from Samaritas. Let's start off with just the basics. Tell us about Samaritas, who your organization serves, and what your mission is.
Absolutely. Samaritas has been serving the families of Michigan for 88 years now. Our services are statewide. We serve up to 20,000 people every year in a variety of different programs, from from when kids are babies all the way up to when they're senior citizens and living in one of our homes. So it really is what we call a cradle to grave, or glory, I should say, actually, type of continuum of care that is carried out by 2,000 employees and volunteers across the state every year. Our mantra is be the rock that starts the ripple, and that ripple is a ripple of positive transformation across our community, because we realize that when we help people reach their potential, they in turn turn around and help others to reach theirs, creating strong families and strong communities across Michigan. And that's what we're all about at Samaritas.
So Kelli, with that, what are some of those programs or initiatives that are available through Samaritas to help people of all ages across the board? Because, as you said, you're serving people all across the state of Michigan and all across different age groups.
You bet. You bet. I always look at Samaritas as having really two sides of our house. And so, on the one side, we have our senior living services. And that's a variety of different services in a continuum. We have affordable housing for seniors. We have 13 communities across the state that provide affordable housing solutions and community for seniors in Michigan. We also offer independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, and memory care. That is across the state, but right here in Southeast Michigan, we have our beautiful community in Bloomfield Hills, located at 15 Mile and Telegraph, that offers a variety of really wonderful family-oriented, faith-based living for seniors in our community. I invite you all to check out that community and take a tour today. And then we have our other side of our house, as we call it, and that really focuses on child and family. And that is a variety of services, and some live in a continuum and some not so much, but are very complementary to that. And so, I'll start by saying that we are the largest provider of foster care services and adoption services in the state. And recently, we have really focused our efforts in the last, I would say, 5 to 6 years on serving families in what we call family preservation. Before foster care really becomes an option for families, we are working with them in crisis, providing them with the resources they need to be successful. And what's really special about that is that the families are still together, intact, and they're working on the challenges that they face together. And so we've made an intentional shift to strengthen that family unit before foster care and adoption enter the equation. And so when we were offering those services, we found that a majority of families were coming into our care because there was a substance use issue. And so we brought substance use services, disorder services online a couple of years ago to really aid in that continuum of services to ensure that families found success in thriving together. And so that is another service line that we provide. And we couple that in some cases with mental health, behavioral health services that are often tied to all of those services. On the other side of that spectrum, we work with youth, usually, ages 16 to 19, who have been in the foster care system and that are preparing for life as an adult. And so we have several homes across the state, 3 of which are right here in Southeast Michigan for what we call Independent Living Plus. And those are kids that are 5 to 7 in a house together with Samaritas staff, preparing for adulthood, learning life skills, preparing to go to college or entering the workforce. We also have our homeless shelter in Southeast Michigan that keeps families together while they're in crisis, while we find housing for them and transportation and employment opportunities. And so what's really special about that is that the families stay together, both parents, when that is the situation, and we can serve families up to 10 members at a time there. We also have our what we call Samaritas House Heartline, and that works with women that are returning citizens. Many a times they have been survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, a number of things that have gotten them into a place where they need some help to return, to be returning citizens successfully in our community. And that house is located in Detroit. Lastly, we have in Southeast Michigan in particular, we have our refugee services. We're one of the largest providers of refugee services in the state and in the country, for that matter. You might have heard a little something about the Afghan refugee crisis that started happening at the end of the summer last year. And Samaritas has taken a significant lead role in welcoming Afghan families to our Michigan communities, in coordinating services and finding homes and working with different community partners. We were very quick to launch our Afghan refugee network that built a coalition of community, civic, and corporate leaders to address the many needs that we knew we were going to face in helping families feel welcome and thrive here in their new homeland. And so when we work together as a community, our families, 75% of them find self-sufficiency within 180 days upon arrival. And that is no small feat. Our color is purple at Samaritas. So we always say it takes a purple village to be able to surround families the way that we do and lift them up to change their trajectory in life. And that's what we're all about at Samaritas.
You can learn more about their Purple Village and all their services by visiting Samaritas.org. That is Samaritas.org, or by going to ShareDetroit.org and searching Samaritas under their Find Nonprofits link, where you can search, of course, for Samaritas and 275 other charities and nonprofits in the Metro Detroit area. We're joined by Kelli Dobner, Chief Advancement Officer of Samaritas, on the Megacast. And Kelli, so many of these different sectors of people that you're helping, whether it be seniors, whether it be in resolving family issues, whether from the child's angle, the parental unit angle, or both, and even for those that are suffering through the challenges and the traumas of being a refugee, such as those who are refugees from Afghanistan. A lot of that comes back to mental health. And so what are some of the supports that are provided through Samaritas to help people address what may be mental health issues that they're having in the interim, or temporarily, or long-standing issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do offer a variety of services, and it really does depend on that the population that you described. We have found that through the different groups of people that we serve, mental health is at the forefront of so many issues and opportunities. And so, while we offer our own therapies, whether that's group, that's individual, certainly with COVID, we've pivoted a lot to offering telehealth solutions so we can meet people where they're at. That was particularly important, not only for the children in our care, but our seniors as well, in feeling the social isolation that they did during the pandemic, which clearly is not over in that way. And so the need for mental health services across a variety of channels and disciplines has only grown. And so while the need is so great and Samaritas offers these services, we also look to partnership opportunities where we can work with other organizations in our community to best serve and extend that continuum for that holistic service provision for our different groups.
We're joined by Kelli Dobner, Chief Advancement Officer of Samaritas, joining us on the Megacast. Find more information by visiting ShareDetroit.org and searching Samaritas under their Find Nonprofits link, or by going directly to Samaritas' website at Samaritas.org. Kelli, just another minute or so with you before we'll have to say goodbye today. Anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to know about your organization?
Oh, thanks for that opportunity. I mean, I am so thrilled to be talking with you, Tyler. And, we're so proud at Samaritas that we're a founding member of Share Detroit. And I'm just grateful to have that partnership, which I was talking about earlier. We really need, I think, as a community to be in partnership and collaboration as much as we can. The needs are not going away for our community, and we're only stronger when we can work together. So, I described our pretty deep breadth of services at Samaritas. And I invite everybody to visit us at Samaritas.org to learn more how they can plug in, be a part of these solutions, be collaborative in building future coalitions for a number of the audiences that we serve. We can't do it alone. We definitely need to build that Purple Village. And I encourage you to look at different opportunities to engage, whether that's direct service coordination, coming out to take a tour of our senior living community, see if that's right for you or your parents or someone that you know. I invite you to engage and be that rock that starts a ripple of positive transformation in our Michigan community.
Kelli, thank you very much for joining us and telling us more about Samaritas.
Thank you, Tyler.
Appreciate it. You can learn more information in a couple of different places. ShareDetroit.org by searching in their Find Nonprofits link for Samaritas or any other of their other 275 supported charities and nonprofits, or visiting Samaritas.org directly for more information on that organization. That is going to do it for this Tuesday edition of the Megacast. Big thank you to Kelli Dobner, the Chief Advancement Officer over at Samaritas, for joining us on the show. The co-owner of Awesome Mitten, Leah Hefner, also for being with us. Paulette Epstein, the astronomer and the planetarium director over at the Michigan Science Center, for previewing their exhibit on volcanoes, for being with us at 11 o'clock Ralph Tompkins, the owner of Swag Kids Gym as well, for being with us, and film critic Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com helping us preview the Oscars and talk about what's going on at the movies here in the state of Michigan. You can find all of our interviews and each full episode of the Megacast on demand, so you can watch it on your own time if you missed part of this show or missed a couple of our interviews that may be of interest to you. You can find those civiccentertv.com/Megacast, as well as information on all of our partnering television, radio, and other media outlets that join us every day, live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon and live to tape as well throughout the afternoons, evenings, and weekends. Big thank you to our crew, our technical director, Calvin Brown, here in the studio with me for 2 hours every single day. Jared Clark, our Zoom producer at the offices of My Michigan TV in Troy. Larry Nyland, the king of television, our producer, and of course, Maddie Mushkin out at Master Control helping us on and off the air. On My Michigan TV, Steve Leto is coming up next on Leto Live, then Larry and Maddie Live, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.